Hey garden friends, this is Pam, Flower Patch Farmhouse, and I'm in the garden house to take some cuttings of my Christmas cactus. And this is the true Christmas cactus with the smooth leaves, you know, not the spiky crab cactus leaves. I'll show you the difference. So this one is my exotic dancer, and you see how sharpy point that is right there? I'm hoping you can see it. And these are very rounded on the edges. That it's time for me to do some cuttings. It's still blooming. This is January 21st, 22nd, but some of them are faded. And I wanted to propagate this so I could make it into a larger plant, like put lots of these cuttings into a big pot once they root. And then I can have a large specimen. This one just blooms so pretty this time of year. This has been blooming since the end of December. And it's just so nice to have something that will bloom. They do like cooler temperatures, not super hot. This is kept in my studio because it is cooler than our house. And the studio gets much more light. So it thrives in there. And I can enjoy it when I go out to paint and spend time in my studio. So let's take some cuttings. Let me see if I need to point you down. Can you see? Yeah, I'll need to point you down so you can see what I'm doing. To prepare for it, I use jars. Now you may notice that these look really sad. Well, the original that the parent of this little one I was showing you was in the care of someone who's not a plant person and basically killed it. It was huge. But I took pieces off of it, thinking maybe it would root, even though it was looking really sad. And I don't know if you can see that. Let me rinse it off. Let me see if I can see it. They are teeny tiny roots coming from this old gnarly bit. I mean, this is an old, it just is dried up and looks pretty shabby, and the leaves look kind of desiccated. And these other ones are even worse as far as the leaves looking, but let me see if this one has any. There was a couple that did. Yes, it has teeny tiny roots starting. I don't know how this will turn out, but this one too, this little, I mean, it looks, look at those leaves. They look horrible, but it does have roots. I don't know if you can see them, but the glory of plants, huh? Anyway, so I have a few stones in the bottom of this. As I showed you in my previous cuttings from Christmas Cactus, Thanksgiving Cactus. And then I have some perlite on top of that. And they just sit on that and they do beautifully. Some people claim that you need to let them heal over before putting them in something like this or potting them up. Some people direct sow them, or not sow them, I'm sorry. They just stick the cuttings right into a pot. That may be true for doing that. I've never been successful with just sticking them in soil to root. So that's why I tried this method. As far as putting them in a jar of water, they're not actually sitting in the water. They're sitting like on top of the perlite. It has water. So the moisture's there, but they don't rot. It works beautifully. Let me see. I've done it with this one. Let me see that one. A few weeks ago, I put these into this container. Let's see if I got any roots yet. Some roots starting. Yes, I got roots starting, if you could see it right there. So it works perfectly. These did not get healed over, is what they call it. This one isn't. This one I wondered about just because I didn't get this little nub piece on the end. And sure enough, it's not rooting. So what I could do is cut it off right here and get that nub piece and then see about rooting that. But this one also has a teeny tiny root starting. So it works so well for me, and I don't have to wait and heal them over. You could do that to be on the safe side. It won't hurt it. But anyways, so the jars are ready. And maybe I'll just dump this out so you can see me do it. All right, so here's my jar. This is just a recycled jar that I have painted with a it's called sea glass paint. I don't even know if they make it anymore. It's from Plaid Folk Art. This one I just painted with enamels. This is some poppies and some lupins, and then I'll show you. I have a couple rocks in this container. So I have just, sometimes I have more rocks than this. And you could use gravel. Like here's some gravel that I put on top of plants. Some gravel or sand. I could do sand, horticultural sand, like this. And that just gives some stability to the bottom. And then I put some perlite in it. Give you a scoop of perlite. I only put like where it comes to the top of the stones, and I'll give you a peek in here. Can you see in there? Right in there is the perlite. So I would say it comes right up to here. And then that gives you a good base for the water. Put the water, and even if the water goes down, the perlite draws up the moisture so they never fully dry out. So we'll put some from this jar in there. And then I take the cuttings. Now this is where I will point you down so I can zoom in if I need to on this portion. So let me get all this stuff out of your view. So here is my plant that needs to be pinched back for cuttings. So look at these, this is a really long one here. So here's a good one to take from, and I just twist. Now if it's not gonna give, I'll put my thumbnail down in there and I make sure I get this nub piece. You don't want it to be concave, you want it to have that little piece. That's what roots, and sometimes you could have two. I think I'll just root that together, and then that'll make a nice plant. So I just stick it in the jar. A lot of times I will mark it on it if it's one of my different colored ones, but this one is the true Christmas cactus. The other ones I have are all Thanksgiving cactus, and I know the difference. So you see that? Put it in my jar. These ones go back in the jar. See, I put the name of these one. These are Exotic Dancer. That's the real pretty fuchsia pink with a hint of orange in the center. And you can do a ton in here. As long as they fit in there, it's all good. So I'm going to do another. See, this one, the flower's spent, so I'm going to do this one. And I'll take that one right from the end. Let's see if this will work. Yep, and I got that off of there. I will pull the bloom off and put it in my container on top of the perlite. So that works. Now this one's still blooming. I'm going to let it bloom. The one next to it has stopped, and so I'm getting right there. Going to twist. I'm sticking my thumbnail in there so I can kind of pinch it. Some people don't need to do that. I seem to need to. And if you wanted to leave it out, you just lay it on that, let it heal over a couple of days, and then stick it in there. But I've never had to wait. So, and you know what? I've never lost one. So if someone says you have to do that, I'm telling you, you don't have to, because I do it all the time. This one's got a little bed coming, so it's still blooming for me. So I've got more. I'm going to take a bunch. So I'm just going to keep on taking some of these. And one thing about it, like if I take one from here, a lot of times it will branch out and put two out instead of just the one. And that makes it thicker, more thicker plant. And there we go. Pull off the flower. And here we go. So we are going to have a ton. I will put these up into a large pot, like 3 into the pot, so it can really fill in fast. And get going. Get going. So that one right there. Make sure I'm getting it down onto the moisture. Now also, and what made me led me to do this kind of trick was I had some sitting somewhere in a, I just had stuck it in some water with the stone. Something else was in it. I can't remember what. And all of a sudden I noticed all these little roots coming out, and the water had almost, but the moisture that's in there, the humidity was enough for it to go ahead and root. So I'm filling this up pretty good. I might put some in this one with the other ones that are old and gnarly. And like I said, I don't know how well those are going to do in the long run. And see that, I didn't realize there were so many buds still in this one. So I'm not going to take any with the buds. This one over here is looking a little yucky. So I'll take this one too. Take this one right here, and I'll just do the same thing. Twist, and I get my thumbnail in there, and I get it taken out. So this is one that's been in here a while. Let me see. Did I already show you this one? This is a white one, and look at all those roots. Tons of roots. This one's probably could be potted up right now, and I guess I could show you how I do that. Let's go ahead and do that. Since it's here and I can do it, I will do it in one of what I have. Oh, here's one. Just a little plastic. This is, I think, a 4-inch pot. I like to loosen my DIY soil even more. And I'm sorry if I got out of the camera for the last one. Forgot I had pointed the camera back up. Now here is my potting soil. I'm going to put a little more sand in this portion, quite a bit more sand. And I'm just going to mix it in there and then put it in the pot. That just makes it a very loose, well-draining mixture. And then I'm going to take my cutting and I'm just going to put it down in there very gently. I'm going to hold it with my fingers and I'm going to scoop up, where's my scooper? I'll use this, a little bit more of that sandy soil and finish it off in there. And because it already has the roots, I'm just pressing it in, firming it in, has the roots, it won't rot. The roots will take over and do, even though I've got this partially buried. But they can be really, especially if you have super loose soil, you might need to stake it up. But I use my DIY potting soil, a little extra sand. Sand is nice and heavy, compacts, and I'll firm it in there. I just press, and then I'm going to pour some of these stones on top. I've used just regular pea gravel, so I just put some on top, and that kind of helps stabilize it too. And if I wanted it to get fuller faster, I would put 2 in here, but I just had the one white one. This is a white colored one with a little hint of pink. And there I have my little, this is the Thanksgiving cactus, which you treat exactly the same as your Christmas cactus. And then I'll mark the pot, because I have it marked on the leaf, which I do write on the leaves. I don't know if you can see that. WH for white. And I will mark it on the pot so that if that somehow gets washed away, white, then I know what is in the pot. And so when I give it away or what have you, it's all good. So that, my friends, is our little cutting, potting, rooting Christmas cactus deal today. So if you have any tips or tricks for rooting Christmas cactus that have worked really well for you, go ahead and put it in the description box below. I'll enjoy reading what you have to tell me. I'm always learning. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye.